Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Tyler Hughes podcast. My name is Tyler Hughes, and I'm glad that you're here joining me for my third episode. Today, we've got a fun topic. We're going to be talking about musicians and how you can balance your musical practice with your musical productions, whether it be creating music or content, such as this podcast that I'm creating right now. I've found that it can be it can be difficult to differentiate between the two things because they kind of have some blurred lines. Um, Sometimes when I'm creating music or producing something, it seems like I'm using that time for practice where I'm not, or if I'm using time for practice, it seems like this could be used for content or music. But what I've learned is for me to be the most uh, productive, I actually have to separate the two, and I have to do that very strategically. And it's not always so black and white. So we're going to get into that. That's going to be a really fun topic for today. I've been wanting to speak about this for a while. But before we do that, a quick update. If you are watching on YouTube and you see around me, I am in a dining room in Ohio. I am in my wife's house where she grew up, and we are here for the holidays. So if you guys are noticing any of the audio being slightly different, I'm recording this on a DJI microphone. So far with my testing, it sounds great and I really like it. And then on the video, I am literally shooting this on my front facing camera of my iPhone. And I have no backdrop, obviously. I have nothing. This is as low quality as it can get, other than the fact that I have this great little DJI microphone. Um, it's been a great time for me up here, to kind of slow down. And I've been doing some hunting. I got some guns for Christmas. I got a couple of 12 gauges. I got a muzzle loader, and I've been out going after some squirrels and whatnot, and I've been enjoying that. I've also been enjoying just being in the woods and having some time to myself to really just kind of reset at the end of the year and get ready for next year because I've got some big goals for next year. Some of those goals include just being as consistent as possible with my content creation, and some more actual quantity goals. I do have a goal to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of next year. Right now, at the time of making this video, I'm somewhere around 1,350 subscribers. Another goal of mine is to finally start my online bass school. I believe it's going to be a bass school. At least it's going to start as a bass school. I've already started on it. It's going to have some great warm ups, some grooves to learn, some fretboard mapping and whatnot, and just enjoy the. I want to enjoy the process of all the content creation. So that's kind of where I went wrong in 2024 this year, because at the beginning of this year I had a really strong foundation for what I was doing, and I was making videos pretty honestly more than I could continue to make, and it was not easy for me to obviously keep up with that. So my goal for this year is to be consistent, but also set realistic goals and make sure that I'm enjoying it the whole time. My goal isn't to work as hard as I can so that I can grow as fast as I can. My goal is to enjoy the process, enjoy what I'm doing right now, enjoy sitting right here and talking to you guys on my podcast. Um, so, like that, honing in on my process still, setting realistic goals, and just making sure I am enjoying what I'm doing are going to be my guidelines to how I'm going to succeed this year. All right, so back to today's topic where we're balancing our practice and our musical creation. Um, the pain point here is that it is hard to do that, and it's really for musicians. It's so easy for me to wake up in the morning and grab the guitar and spend 2 or 3 hours just working on what seems so easy to me to turn on a metronome and get the fingers moving, get the mind flowing, get everything feeling right. And then you spend 3 hours and maybe you got a lot of good practice done, but you didn't come any closer to creating any music or creating any content or whatever it is that you are trying to create. The goal is here. You have to separate practice and creation, which is, I'm learning is difficult and not as simple as it sounds. So, how can we separate the two? Well, first of all, you can dedicate time for each. So, for instance, I've realized that for me, at this current process, and I'm not going to hold myself to this, but currently, I do better if I do my creating in the morning. If I'm creative in the morning, whether it be writing music or So I've been doing some in-house studio work. I've been doing some mixing for some vocals and stuff, laying down tracks. I've been giving bass recordings to people for different instances and creating content like this podcast. I noticed that doing those things in the morning, I am more successful. I have really good energy in the morning and I can complete these things. Whereas if I try in the evening when the time is starting to work against me, I get, anxious or I want to rush through things. Um, and I notice that my product will not be as good. Whereas when it comes to practicing, uh, I can practice at 10 o'clock at night, even if I plan on going to bed at 10:30. I can sit there for 30 minutes by myself and I can get some good work done no matter what kind of day I had because in a sense, for me, practicing is almost like meditating. It's quiet time. So it's time that I can use any. I can use it in the morning, I can use it in the evening. So, number one, you got to find a way to separate your time for creating your music or your content and practicing. Don't let the times get blurred. Building off of what I was saying about separating your time so you don't always have to do everything every day. So I also noticed that some days are better days for me to simply just practice all day or just play music. I noticed that that's especially the case on days that I don't have gigs. So if I don't have any work to do, I can stay home, I can practice more, I can just explore musically. Um, and also on days that I have rehearsal, I need to use those days to prepare myself for my rehearsals. And I do that typically, by starting off with them in the morning. So I don't want to call myself a procrastinator, although I am and I have been for a long time. I've learned that in my process, whether it be studying for an exam or getting ready for a gig or getting ready for a podcast, it's better that I kind of put those things all around the same time. So even though this topic that we are discussing today is something that I have been planning on talking about for maybe a couple of weeks now, it's been on my list. I didn't actually write the outline for this until this morning, actually, just about 30 minutes before pressing record. So I'm noticing that if I have the energy towards one or the other, I like to go in that direction. Now, I did set Thursdays. This is the third Thursday that I have consistently worked on a podcast, and I will be uploading this and I will be releasing it. And I'm noticing that that's working pretty good for me. However, when I woke up this morning and I'm in Ohio, there was a lot of variables, and I was considering, maybe I should wait until I get back home from Myrtle Beach to do this. But then again, like I mentioned in my last podcast, I've got several weekends. So far, I've got just in the first quarter of the year. Well, so discluding January. In January, I've got 1 week. I'm in Nevada. And then starting in February, I'll be gone every weekend. Fortunately, I have my time set to where I'm doing my podcast on Thursdays and I'm trying to release some sort of, helpful how-to video on Tuesdays. And by setting those days of the week, I can count on those. And fortunately, those are weekdays. I'm traveling on weekends. So I should be able to stick to that if it feels natural. Now, I'm not saying that it will be the case for me every time. However, if you want to try something like this, that might be a good way to start. Is set some specific days where you want to accomplish specific things. So, like I mentioned, for me, Monday, I want to release my newsletter. Tuesday, I want to release a how-to video. Wednesday, I'm pretty busy on Wednesdays. I am just playing music. I'm practicing because I have church rehearsals on Thursdays. And then that's why Thursday morning, I do my podcast in the morning. And then after this, I'll go practice for church. Now, this week, I will not be playing at church because I'm in Ohio. So I will just be enjoying making this podcast. And then I'm going to go back into the woods and shoot some more squirrels, hopefully. But still, I'm separating the time that I'm creating versus when I'm practicing. This is a creation moment, and I'm not going to blur the lines between the two. That being said, sometimes, even right now, I feel an urge, especially when the coffee's kicking in. I really would like to get the guitar in my hands and play, but I've got to see this through and continue talking about this topic, which is a perfect topic to be talking about when I'm having that urge, is balancing between content creation and musical creation. So I did count on this being somewhat of a short episode because I am just focusing on being consistent, getting the topics out there, and that's really all I had to cover today. Is if you are someone who is a musician and you are interested in whether it's, let's just not even talk about content creation because I imagine most of you are not creating content at this point in time. Maybe you wish to one day, but if you're watching my podcast, listening to my podcast, or following any of my other content, you're probably associated with music in some point. So if you're associated with music at all, then that means you've got moments for practice and you've got moments for performance. Performance is creation. You've got moments for practice and you've got moments for songwriting. Songwriting is creation. So setting goals for yourself and how you're going to utilize your time is paramount. So what are some ways that you guys are trying to separate the both? Are you guys doing it by the day? Are you guys doing maybe time blocks? Are you doing creation in the morning and practice in the evening? I know some people talk about it as like maker time and manager time, and that's kind of that you could really relate it to that. And the way I would relate to that is, for me, manager time is practice. I got to manage my skills. Manager time is also talking to the musical director of my church, talking to my pastor, talking to my bandmates, creating files for rehearsal. Whereas maker time can be creating songs, creating music, creating content. It's all very, very exciting when you start to separate the two and realize how they're both very important and they both need their own independent time. So if you try to put them all together, which I've done in the past, where basically I'll just turn the camera on and I'll be recording myself, whether with video or audio, and I'll be recording myself practice, and then after the fact, try to create something out of that. And I haven't had the best luck with that because I realize that I need to respect each entity for its own, and they need both to get their own time. So that's practically all I have to speak about today. I'm still in the early stages of all of this, and I'm looking forward to, in a year from now, coming back to this and seeing if I was able to stick to what my goals are, which is being consistent, separating the two, and then also enjoying what I'm doing. So as much as I love creating a video, putting it on YouTube and feeling good about what I've done, if my goal is to do that simply for the fact of growing, then I feel stressed out by it. I feel like it's a chore. I feel like it's something I have to do, which I never feel that way about practice. I love to just play because it's what I love to do and it's what I've done for so long. So learning how to separate my time and dedicate specific time to these ideas and these processes, it's a new battle for me. But so far it's been really, really terrific, and I hope that I can stick to it for a whole year. I know this year is going to be busy. While I'm on here on the podcast, I had a friend of mine from high school reach out to me, and he said that he listened to my podcast. Hey there, Timmy. If you're there, Timmy, I love you. You're a great friend, and I appreciate you for getting on. Timmy is a drummer, and he's a musician all around. He's a guitar player, singer as well, and his plan is to move to Nashville sometime this year and pursue it. And I think that there is no greater thing. I've always wanted to spend some time of life in Nashville, extended periods. I've been to Nashville a couple of times, and it's just not been in the cards for me yet, simply because my goals have been to ultimately start a family and be a father and a husband and a homeowner, and all those things are happening. And now that I'm at the age of 28, I can say without a doubt, there's going to be a point in my life where I spend more time in Nashville, whether it's just in and out because I'm hopefully going to be called there for some reason in the future, which will happen, or maybe even live there one day. I'm not ruling that out either. My wife is a successful dance studio owner, and it could be tricky to convince her to follow me out there, so we might do some sort of both situation, which a lot of people are successful with. So I'm not ruling anything out. But aside from that, Timmy, you are the man. I appreciate you for tuning into the podcast. And to everyone else, If there's a discussion or a topic you'd like me to speak on, please please feel free to let me know. Send me an email. Comment on this video. I'm looking for more things to speak about, especially in these early stages of this podcast where I'm really doing it more for consistency, and I don't want to say quantity because I'm not busting them out, but the quality of this topic could probably be enhanced with more research and more preparation rather than just talking to you guys kind of like a little video diary. However, this is where I'm at right now. I've learned that you've got to, I learn by doing. I do, and then I learn from my mistakes, and that's how I've gotten here. So we're going to keep on going down that path. But so far, I appreciate everyone who's been on for the podcast so far. And if you're following me on YouTube, thank you for that. Keep a lookout for the online base school coming to you soon. My goal was to start it on January 1st, but I've been in Ohio for almost a week now, and I've got about a half a week left. So we'll probably have a slower start than what I was initially anticipating, but that's all okay because working on it and starting on it at some point is better than just thinking about it than never doing it. So anyways, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Christmas week and a happy new year, and I look forward to seeing you guys, talking to you all in the new year. Have a great end of your year and happy 2025. Goodbye.